Am I the a-hole for telling my husband exactly why I can't dance every night when I get home from work? Am I the a-hole for not wanting my husband's brother to be in the delivery room? Am I the a-hole for tricking my husband to coming to a school event and inviting her to my house? Am I the a-hole for telling my husband exactly why I can't dance every night when I get home from work? Background: I, 35, am married to my husband, 37, of 6 years, and working mother, nurse of 3 kids. We were at my in-laws' house for Thanksgiving dinner, and every family member was able to make it. We were at dinner table when my brother-in-law started talking about his girlfriend's new fond hobby, which is dancing, and said she's been dancing for him every night after she gets back from her Zumba classes. The men in the family clearly got interested, and they kept talking about it in details as me and other women were just rolling our eyes. My husband then, and all of a sudden, just threw his fork and looked at me and said, "Hey Jess," fake name, "why can't you dance for me when you come home every night like brother-in-law's GF name does?" I was blown away by his question and really thought he was joking, but no. I looked around and saw everyone staring at me with my cousin-in-law sarcastically singing the Dance Monkey song. I flipped out and said, "I don't know. Maybe because when I get home, I cook, then start my cleaning routine, then feed the kids dinner, then do the dishes, then get our 8-month-old to sleep, then clean the messy bathroom and bedroom, then suddenly fall asleep the minute I get into the bed from being exhausted from working on my feet all day long, then coming back to messy home and demanding kids and a husband. God, what a terrible wife I must be to not find time to dance." He froze in his place and the entire table got quiet. Then my sister-in-law's jerk, cop husband who hates my husband's guts, started laughing, then said, "Good God, guess turkey. I mean, chicken's really coming home to roost, huh?" My husband's face was so pale, he just told everyone after noticing how awkward things got that he needed a minute outside. He got up and walked out, and I followed him, and he flipped out at me saying, "Great job making Thanksgiving awkward and embarrassing him in front of his family like that." An argument ensued, and he said he wanted to leave after I caused him to be in an awkward position in front of family. We got home and he shut down completely. I stayed with the kids and couldn't sleep even after I called my mother-in-law, his stepmom, saying good on me for calling him out as he stepped out of line, but she could be biased since she hates his guts too. And I just felt guilty when I think about what happened, thinking I mishandled the situation and ruined Thanksgiving for everyone. Am I the a-hole?
Info. Of course he's TA if he really meant it. Do you really truly believe your husband thinks you're shit and lazy because you don't dance for him every night? Do you think his intentions were to belittle you publicly for no reason? If you can say that with your hand on your heart, then he deserved the verbal beating you gave him. NTA if, however, it's likely your husband isn't inclined to be a total dick to you for no real reason, and it's more likely he was just being cheeky with you the way husbands and wives often are, YTA, and need to chill the fuck out. You could have just brushed it off by cheekily telling him maybe he could dance for you instead. In fact, you'll buy him a tutu and some nipple tassels to support his new hobby. NTA so your husband basically tells everyone at Thanksgiving dinner that you aren't being sexy enough and dancing for him every night like his brother's new girlfriend. He was somehow embarrassed when you pointed out that you work all day and have to clean up all his messes and deal with the kids. Yes, he was embarrassed because you pointed out that he was trying to embarrass you. Unfortunately, his stunt gave the other people who dislike him some ammunition, but that was not your doing. There seem to be quite a lot of family members who hate your husband's guts. What has he done to earn such common dislike? Maybe they have a point. Also, what did he expect you to say when he asked his ridiculous questions? Was he really blindsided by the fact that there are more things in your life than pandering to his momentary whims? Did he forget you have children? There was no part of this situation that he did not create, so he has no right to be cross at you for responding honestly to a public challenge. NTA. IMIL, his stepmom, saying good on me for calling him out as he stepped out of line, but she could be biased since she hates his guts too. Do you hate his guts as well? NTA your husband isn't pulling his weight in your relationship if you're working full-time and then doing all the housework. You have a deeper problem in your relationship that was just exposed to his family. NTA, here's your best clue that you actually know even his stepmom thinks what he did was horrible. Bil doesn't like him. I'm going to tell you what I had to tell a friend. If everyone that has contact with you so thinks he's an asshole, he's an asshole. She kept telling me they just don't know him like I do. Well, your husband is a jackass and you snapped. Don't lose sleep over it. If you are both working, he should be helping too. Maybe he should be dancing for you. I'm gonna be a minority here and will probably get downvoted, but hear me out. ESH him for calling you out. That was uncalled for and should not have been done. You for responding in that manner. A simple "we can discuss this later" would have kept the peace and your private life out of your family's eyes. Your relationship is none of their business. But your outburst put it out there. You hurt him by airing your grievances out in front of everyone without just talking to your husband. What you said sounds like isn't just based on his one comment, but it sounds like you have some built-up resentment about the breakdown of who does what in your home. That is between you and your husband. Not the extended family at Thanksgiving. Could it be a sign that many people in his family hate him? Just a thought. I'm not talking about all cases here, but combined with his actions ye knew. He singled you out and embarrassed you in front of everyone, but was a crybaby when you did the same to him, typical immature act. I flipped out and said I don't know, maybe because when I get home I cook, then start my cleaning routine, then feed the kids dinner, then do the dishes, then get our 8-month-old to sleep, then clean the messy bathroom and bedroom, then suddenly fall asleep the minute I get in the bed from being exhausted from working on my feet all day long, then coming back to messy home, and demanding kids and a husband. God, what a terrible wife I must be to not find time to dance, and if he's really not helping at all with kids' house, then yeah, I don't know what you see in that guy. NTA, your husband is, however.
Am I the a-hole for not wanting my husband's brother to be in the delivery room? I'm currently 31 weeks with twins, a boy and a girl. My husband and I are both 21 and were trying for a baby for about a year before we felt pregnant. I've had a pretty rough pregnancy and my brother-in-law is a medical student, so he's taken quite a lot of interest in my pregnancy and future delivery. We've always gotten on well. He's 24. I've known my husband's family since we were children, so we're pretty much grown up together. A few days ago, my husband told me that my brother-in-law has expressed an interest in being there whilst I gave birth, mainly due to it being beneficial from an educational standpoint to see a natural multiples birth, which is what I'm planning for. I know things can change on that front, but hoping for that. Also, so my husband can have support as I'll have my mom. Worth mentioning that our hospital doesn't have a restriction on the amount of people who can be in the delivery room. I said absolutely not. There's no way in hell I am allowing that. I'm not even overly keen on allowing my husband to watch me go through that, let alone his brother. He said it'd be good experience for him and his degree, and I said that as much as I supported him, my experience of having a pleasant birth was my priority. He got defensive and said he should be allowed to have a support person too, which I suppose I do understand, but I really just feel uncomfortable about it all. He said it was just as much his right as it was mine to have someone there to support him. It basically turned into a huge argument, with his brother and mom being dragged into it too. Am I the a-hole?
NTA. WTF. Your husband is there to be a support person for you. If you want him there, you the person who is birthing 2 human babies. To whine about him needing a support person is just him trying to weasel his brother in the room for some unfathomable reason. Seriously, the day my husband tries to give his brother a front row seat to my vagina. I can't begin to imagine. He should be focusing on supporting you during this extremely intense experience that you'll be going through and on this huge moment in your lives, marriage, family. This is not the time to let his brother third wheel just because he might find it cooler, interesting, or educational. That's what medical school is for, not the birth of your children. FFS. I'm floored that he would even ask. Never mind, make this the hill he's willing to die on. Please stand your ground and make it explicitly clear to all of the hospital staff you'll be interacting with exactly who is and who is not allowed in your room for the delivery. He said it was just as much his right as it was mine to have someone there to support him. Lol, if he is supposed to support you. Is he afraid he might faint? There are plenty of others in the room equipped to deal with heaving him on a couch. I didn't much care who was in there when I was squeezing mine out. The OB brought a whole damn tour of interns in at one point, and here is a textbook birth. You won't see many of these. Observe the dilation, what the fuck, but I'd have been thoroughly squicked at a BIL, who apparently hasn't done his OB rotation yet, staring at my distended bits while birthing. Shit was weird enough, and I had incredibly easy births. I would not want to be reminded that he saw this at every family dinner for the next several decades, every time I had to ask him to pass the gravy. Okay. That's a no-go. Edit to add. Tell the hospital and your OB and the nurses in that ward, in person and in writing for their files, BIL is not allowed in your delivery room due to close familial connection. They will enforce it. His privates are not the ones that will be on full display front and center to a room full of people, so no, his right is not equal to yours. At this point he's lucky if he gets to be in the room at all. Any birth is a big deal, it's extremely stressful for the mother, which is dangerous for mom and baby. She needs to have everything focused on keeping her calm, so she can do whatever she needs to bring baby into the world safely, and every single person in that room needs to be 100% focused on that. Full stop. That's without taking into account that this is both your first pregnancy and it's a multiple birth. And for the record, most healthcare institutions don't allow family to treat family because it's a major conflict of interest. NTA, 100%. No questions. NTA. With my first, I had a complicated delivery at a hospital associated with a major university in my state, and it was summer, so they were flush with new residents. I felt like a goddamn zoo exhibit. Also, my induction failed plus had some serious complications, and I don't think the stress of having an audience for several days straight helped at all. It was only after I almost died that students stopped showing up and I finally got the A-team. My second delivery, I specified no students, no residents, I was high risk and strongly preferred those experienced with my type of complications. I did end up with a second C-section, but my providers communicated with each other well and it all went smoothly. I will never ever in a million years go to a teaching hospital ever again unless I truly have no choice, so I don't blame you for not wanting to be a specimen for your BIL. If you feel like letting him read your patient notes after babies are born and they are all doing well, that's up to you. NTA, I'm lost why your husband thinks he needs support when you're doing all the work. He should be there to support you. I've had 3 children and thank God my husband was a great support. I would never want the father of my children to miss the birth because you can't get that back, but if he pushes about his brother, which is really creepy, what he's going to school for, then you have to do what makes you comfortable without any stress, because labor alone is scary, and I know you want to have a natural labor, but that can change in the blink of an eye and end up being a C-section. Put your foot down and tell him it's him and your mom, or it can be just your mom, screw what anyone else says. Good luck, mama.
Am I the a-hole for tricking my husband to coming to a school event and inviting her to my house? My mother and husband hate each other. That's the most basic way to put it. Truth is that my husband feels that he is treated as less than my other sibling spouses because of his skin color, and my mother feels that he is way too dumb for my standards. However, I personally feel that my mother does not show any favoritism or harsh treatment of my husband. Because of this, my husband cannot stand my mother and has recently begun to even be in the same room as her. Oh, your mom's going to be at Christmas? I'm going to a friend's house. Oh, your mom's going to the kids' event? I'll just stay at home. Frankly, it's insanely demoralizing for me, and I hate my husband when he backs out of something just because my mom is going to be there. And it's worse when he demands that my mom not go because he wants to be there. In my opinion, he's the one with the big issue. He should be the one to leave the kids' events. Recently, one of my kids was having a big football match and he wanted his father there. My mother also wanted to be there, so I tried telling my son that he couldn't have his father there. He was adamant, so I told my husband that my mother was not going to be there. He arrives, and obviously so does my mother. And they are immediately bickering. He makes a comment about how racist my mother is, and then she fires back saying she was never racist. I told them to shut up and sent my husband to sit somewhere else for a while. I decided that since the game ended late, I'll bring my mom back to my home and make her some dinner. My husband threw a hissy fit over this and was screaming about me always choosing my mother over him. And I was like, of fucking course, I'm going to put my mom over my husband. She's the woman who single-handedly raised me and 3 other kids. She's literally a goddess for not giving some of us for adoption. My husband stormed out and I'm left wondering if I've done something wrong. Am I the a-hole?
YTA you deliberately did a bait and switch, inviting your mother to your son's game, choosing your mother over your husband and your son's father. You are blind to how your mother treats him because you think she can do no wrong, so she continues to do it because she is literally a goddess. You then double down and invite her over and make her dinner. Your husband leaves, and you are wondering if you've done something wrong. I can just picture your mother sitting there with the cat who ate the canary smile as you once again choose her over your husband. YTA do you really think that although your mother thinks your husband is not smart enough, that this little nugget of maternal wisdom hasn't bled out in the way she talks to him or treats him? I think you are delusional if you say with a straight face that it hasn't. And in any kid-related events your husband as the father of said kid should take precedence, especially when the kid himself has requested his presence. For all the other things I guess who should be there, your mother or your husband is debatable, and maybe the rule of the one who is bothered the most could apply, but you are truly and single-handedly destroying your marriage by refusing to recognize that although you may not see it, this is a problem for your husband and you should accommodate him since you decided to marry him. Or at least not take your mother's side 100% of the time, heck even 50-50ths would be better than what you are doing now. I wouldn't be surprised if your husband decides that he's better off as your ex-husband. Yeah, you are big time. Your husband should leave you. You just admitted you put your mother first. I hope he sees the light and divorces your ass. Your son didn't say he wanted your mother there. He said he wanted his dad there. I think your mother treats your husband like garbage and has an attitude. Your husband finally had enough and set boundaries not to be around her. You don't stand up for your husband because you are too chicken shit to confront mommy because her approval is more important. Blaming your husband and making him the problem is easier for you. You were wrong to do what you did, and I hope now at this point he has had enough of you. Hopefully he can move on and find someone who treats him better. YTA years ago now, I had an issue with my workplace not accommodating my disability. During those negotiations, I asked for a specific reasonable adjustment and my boss said no, that's not really a problem in our team. I told her, it's not a problem for you because you're not the one who's at a disadvantage because of it. But it is a problem for one person in the team, it's a problem for the person who is telling you it's a problem. Your mother's behavior isn't a problem for you because you're not the one being called stupid and having racist behavior directed towards you. But it is a problem for someone in your family, it's a problem for your husband because he's telling you it's a problem. You can keep denying it's a problem all you like, but that won't make the problem go away. It will make the person telling you it's a problem go away, one way or another. YTA you don't personally see any favoritism, yet in your own words, my mother feels that he is way too dumb for my standards. This is totally contradictory. If this is how your mother feels about him, this definitely gets reflected in how she treats him. I don't know why your mom was a single mom, but she might not ever like any husband for you because you have what she didn't have until you don't, because you are choosing your mother over your husband. Do you want to raise your kids alone like your mother, or do you want a healthy functional family? Put your husband first and by proxy your kids. You are teaching your kids how to treat their future partners by how you disrespect your husband and prioritize your mother. You told your son his dad couldn't go to the football game. WTF. You may even need to consider that subconsciously. Your mother may be trying to drive a wedge between you and your husband, so you end up a single mother just like her. Apologize to your husband and get counseling immediately.